If you need coal or oil,
call Boyle. Fairfax.
Fairfax 8. Fairfax 8, 1521.
Fairfax 8, 1521.
For all your heating needs, be your furnace old or new.
Just call the Boyle Fuel Company and they'll solve them all for you. When you need coal or oil, call Boyle. Fairfax 81521. Fairfax 81521. And now for your viewing pleasure, Boyle Fuel presents Starlit Stairway. May we present our master of ceremonies, Bob Andrews.
Now, direct from our KXLY TV studios, it's time for a Starlit Stairway reunion. Here are your hosts, Steve Mumm and Karen Kelly.
Hello and welcome, everybody. Isn't it great to be introduced in a way that makes you feel like you're actually a star?
I highly recommend it.
Definitely.
Those golden tones you just heard introducing us belong to Bob Welch. Today, he's known as the director of the Spokane Interplayers Ensemble. But 35 years ago, he was recognized as Bob Andrews, the first master of ceremonies of a program that became a Spokane tradition, Starlit Stairway.
And yes, those were the Silty sisters, the famous Boyle Fuel twins who opened the Starlit Stairway program each week in the early years. You'll see more of them later in our program.
If you lived in the Inland Northwest between 1953 and 1973,
Like you and I did.
every Saturday night at 6:30, you could see tap dancers, accordionists, and even a baton twirler or two. It was Spokane's version of the Ted Mack Amateur Hour for kids from 2 to 18.
It's been 17 years since the last program aired, and yet Spokane viewers can still remember that catchy jingle.
Fairfax 8, 1521.
When we first started putting this program together, we asked for help from our viewers and former contestants.
Most remember the early years, the 50s and 60s, when Starlit Stairway was in its heyday. And for the most part, that's what you'll see tonight. Memories from the golden age of television.
just use Dial shampoo. Sparkle, that's for you when you use Dial shampoo.
Television was as young and innocent as the baby boom generation. Eisenhower was president. Ronald Reagan was still an actor, and the space program was in its infancy. Television shows were big on westerns, and family comedies such as ABC's highly rated Make Room for Daddy made people want to buy TV sets.
Dear Terry, do you mind if I use your typewriter? Love, Rusty. That's a mighty newsy letter. She'll be happy to get it.
But the variety show was king. Ed Sullivan, Milton Berle, and Sid Caesar's Your Show of Shows. These were the most popular programs in the country, and Starlit Stairway was the favorite in Spokane. One more thing about TV back then. Live meant live. Most local TV stations didn't have the technology to record their own programs.
Starlit Stairway was no exception. Tapes of old shows just don't exist. Instead, we're going to bring you people and their memories.
We were trying to find someone who could sing our jingle.
Bob Ward worked for the Boyle Fuel Company. For nearly 20 years, he was the producer of Starlit Stairway. Recently, he met 3 other show regulars in our studios. It was a Starlit Stairway reunion.
We found that we had so many children that had good talent. We could see talent there, and we also knew that there were a lot of teachers out there, so we thought, well, why not try it and just see if we could get a show on the air? And that's how Starlit Stairway started.
Only going to do it for 12 weeks?
This woman grew up on television. Deanna Silty Roberts is one of the original Boyle Fuel twins. She and her sister Deanna Silty Lucas sang the Boyle Fuel jingle on the show from 1953 to 1959.
I was handling the mostly children's shows on KXLY. I was a staff announcer. And so they put me on Starlit Stairway.
Bob Welch saw the birth of Spokane television. He, his boss Ed Craney, and Leon Boyle, owner of Boyle Fuel, hatched up the idea of a talent show in Spokane.
The twins always opened the show, and introduced me. And then I would say a few words about Stoker Nuggets or something of the sort. I would then introduce the first act.
You're listening to a home audio recording of a Starlit Stairway regular, Leslie Ann Grove. Whenever the Grove children performed, their parents held a microphone to the speaker on their TV. These are the few remaining recordings of Starlit Stairway.
I hope you're feeling better.
Starting at age 6, Leslie Ann appeared on the program at least once a season. For 12 years, she performed, singing, playing the piano, and the trumpet. Today, she's an attorney. Back then, she was a local celebrity.
I've not had a year go by since then when I didn't present my credit card at a store and someone say, "Oh, I remember your name from Starlit Stairway." It was just a big community thing.
Now, our next performer, and from Deer Park, it's 4-year-old Gordon Grove.
Harry, bright-eyed Mary.
Yes, I was a darling 4-year-old. The first song was called Perry, the Little Girl Squirrel.
In the true spirit of a family show, Leslie Ann's younger brother Gordon also sang. It was not stardom that attracted Gordon Grove to television, but the technology. His Starlit Stairway experience determined his career. He's now director of video productions for Inland Audio Visual. For both the Groves, Starlit Stairway is a favorite childhood memory.
It was, again, one of these positive experiences, like you are a star. And I think every person that came on the show was treated like they were a star, so it made us all feel so good.
In addition to the talented Grove family, there were many other singers, including 9-year-old Kenny Circle.
We'll meet other contestants and hear from the Silty sisters when a Starlit Stairway reunion continues.
All day, all night, Marianne, down by the seaside, sipping sand, even little children love
The Boyle Fuel Company presents Starlit Stairway.
Oil, call Boyle. Fairfax 81521.
Fairfax 81521. And now for your viewing pleasure, Boyle Fuel presents Starlit Stairway. May we present our master of ceremonies, Bob Andrews. And you were Bob Andrews.
I was.
Great. That's good.
The Silty sisters started it all. For 20 years, every little girl dreamed of becoming a Starlighter and singing the Boyle Fuel jingle.
Deanna and Deanda Silty were chosen for the honor from more than 500 children who auditioned. They sang on Starlit Stairway for 6 years. Even they didn't realize what an impact they had on us. People still recognize them.
She didn't say anything right at first, but she kept looking at me. And finally she said, "You're one of the old Boyle Fuel twins, aren't you?" And I said, "Why, yes. How did you know that?" And she said, "Well, you look just like you did then."
I was always astonished that people knew who we were. I mean, we couldn't even pick up beer bottles alongside the road anymore. Dad said, girls. People, this is not probably what you should be doing.
Of course, the Silties and all the Starlighters sang more than just the Boyle Fuel jingle. Here's a medley of their hits.
Aberdeen coal, the best coal in the West. How is the heating in your house? In your house, check on your fuel. You need a barrel of oil. Coal for you and oil for me.
Yes, it seems there was something for every musical taste.
Over the years, there were 10 Starlighters, 5 pairs. Cindy Gintz and her partner, Paula Johnson, were on from 1969 to 1971.
Well, I remember as a little girl, I always wanted to be a Starlighter. I mean, that was everybody's dream as a little girl, to be a Starlighter, I think. Because every Saturday night, we're sitting in front of there going, oh, I like that. I'd like to be a Starlighter.
The Silty sisters were the first, and Starlit Stairway was their first exposure to show business.
Gonna play that Mars rumble tune. You've never heard it played. Join in the big parade.
The twins often sang with their talented older sister Joan. Together, they took a shot at the big time. After the show one night, they auditioned in front of a camera at the KXLY studios and sent the film off to Hollywood. Eventually, they found themselves on the Arthur Godfrey radio show, making a movie soundtrack, touring the world for the U.S. State Department, and still more television.
And here in their first major network appearance are the Silty Sisters.
Come on here, come on here, the Alexander Ragtime Band. Come on here, come on here, the best band in the land. They can play a bugle chord like you never heard before. So natural like you want to go to war. It's just the bestest band one and more.
Years on Starlit Stairway had paid off. Now a national audience would appreciate the many talents of the singing Silties.
By the hand, you need the man who's the leader of the band. And if you want to have back the one river, play in right time. Come on in here, Alexander's ragtime. It's Alexander.
The applause has died since then. Deanna, Deanda, and Joan chose not to embrace the Hollywood lifestyle.
Too many temptations, too much flash, too much flamboyance, too much. It was difficult for country girls to keep their feet on the ground.
After several years away, the Boyle Fuel twins are back on home turf. Deanda Roberts is a family therapist in Spokane. Deanna Silty Lucas is an accomplished portrait artist. Her works hang in homes and businesses throughout the country. Both women realize that no matter how many years go by, folks around Spokane will always remember them as two little girls in braids.
When people want us to sing the jingle or when they remember the number, I think what happens is that brings back for them memories of a time that was simpler.
We had a little boy, but he was 4 years old. His name was Carl Larson from Davenport. But we'd gone through the rehearsals fine, got on the air, and he got halfway through the song, and he stopped, and he says, "Mommy, I gotta go."
Oh. And he really was so nervous. He had this blonde, wavy hair, and just this little bitty guy, and he sang...
He was only about 5, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he sang, "I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus."
We had a young lady on doing a baton act, and she used a fire, and she was about halfway through the act, and she dropped the baton on fire, rolled underneath the curtain, and wasn't only, I said a few seconds, but it could have been minutes, but the fire department was there immediately. But that's the last time we did that particular type of an act, I'll tell you.
After thousands of acts on Starlit Stairway, it's a wonder the studio is still standing.
But the triumphs far outweighed the disasters. Starlit Stairway was a beginning for some serious young musicians. Take Kelly Ferris. He is now the concert master and first violinist of the Spokane Symphony Orchestra. Kelly Ferris brings strong credentials to the Spokane Symphony Orchestra. Early in his career, he entertained heads of state.
When I was in the Army, that was my job, to play strolling music in the White House. So all the stuff I learned on Starlit Stairway I could use then.
The serious musician credits Starlit Stairway with helping him deal with the stresses of performing.
Some people say, it's damaging to kids to go out and experience the terror, but if you can survive it, you're stronger for it, I think.
Kelly not only survived performing, but he won almost every time he appeared. And there was an added reward for this boy from Walla Walla, meeting the Boyle Fuel twins.
No, I went there as a 12-year-old or 13-year-old, and they were like little goddesses, and I just sort of peek sidelong at them, They're very beautiful girls. And
Gypsy Airs was one of the pieces Kelly played on Starlit Stairway at a mere 14 years old. It wasn't exactly #1 on the hit parade.
I was probably the only one of the few classical musicians there, and that was interesting for them.
Talent came in many forms on Starlit Stairway, not only the musicians but the dancers. It was the age of tap dancing, baton twirling, and the predecessor to gymnastics, contortionists. We'll meet some of them later in our program. But for dance instructor Arita Harris, Starlit Stairway was the stage for her young students and more.
It was the beginning of show business for a lot of my students. And they were eager to practice, eager to perform. Everybody just really tried and strived to make Starlit Stairway their goal.
It was hard work for anybody. Dancers who wanted to be on Starlit Stairway first created a one-of-a-kind routine, then sweated through an audition and waited by the phone. If the call came, more hard work.
They go down for rehearsals. We'd be there from 3 o'clock in the afternoon. For the first 2 rehearsals were just run-throughs, then a dress rehearsal, and then the performance. So they virtually worked all afternoon and up until the show.
But win or lose, the hard work paid off.
Just gave them a little bit of an edge so that they weren't worried when they had to get up and give a report in school because they'd already been in front of TV.
Join us again next week.
And it may have helped Spokane dancer Scott Wise face a Broadway audience.
Last season, he won theater's top prize, a Tony Award for his performance in Jerome Robbins' Broadway. Scott is a former student of Arita Harris and Tessa Williams.
And he made his TV debut at age 8 on Starlit Stairway.
I'm a guy who's got a dance.
Here they are, the Dixieland Four of Spokane with the Dixieland Medley.
The big thing was getting on the show, being recognized in that way.
Well, I think that they appreciated the opportunity that was to be on Starlit Stairway. They worked hard to get on Starlit Stairway.
And why did they work hard?
Big money. $5, $10, and $25.
And this was at a time that one of the leading national television shows was giving away $64 as its